So what's been happening in America this week? Well, let's start with some rampant corruption, when on Monday it emerged that Trump is demanding that the Justice Department pay him about $230 million in compensation for the federal investigations into him under Biden. Then the next day, he insisted that the government owes him a lot of money for these previous investigations, and then also said that he was the ultimate decider on whether the administration should compensate him. This situation has no parallel in American history. And that also leads on to part of the White House currently being destroyed. So Trump is demolishing completely the east wing of the White House to build his new $200 million ballroom, which is funded by corporate donors who in return have received privileged access to the president. So according to the Trump-appointed head of the National Capital Planning Commission, this demolition does not require building permission or planning permission. But other experts are saying that actually it's really worrying because it undermines various statutes, because the White House isn't Trump's property. It's historic property, it belongs to the state and is managed by the National Park Service. And it's also worth noting that Trump initially promised that the construction would not touch the East Wing or interfere with the current building at all. Moving on to kind of undermining democracy, North Carolina Republicans have now formally approved a new congressional map which will secure them another Republican seat in Congress in the midterms. US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has told Pentagon staff that they have to obtain permission before interacting with any members of Congress, which is yet another example of the department working to control what information gets out. On Tuesday, Trump also fired the Inspector General of the Export-Import Bank. Now, that may seem really obscure, but it does matter because Trump has now sidelined around 25 watchdogs whose job it is to seek out fraud and mismanagement in federal agencies. And this is weakening the ability to hold the government accountable to the people. The administration has also continued to weaponize its powers against its perceived enemies. So Reuters reported on Monday that a group of about a dozen officials from across the federal government have been helping Trump in his drive for retribution against his enemies. And as part of that, on Monday, the Justice Department revealed it was scrutinizing a trip to the Bahamas taken by Georgia prosecutor Fani Willis. Now, that trip was a leadership training event in preparation for a second term. There's nothing particularly unusual about that. But it is worth noting that Willis is the prosecutor who brought election interference charges against Trump 2 years ago in Georgia. And Trump has said already publicly that she should be prosecuted and that she's a criminal. Trump officials also referred staff from FEMA who were there during Biden's term for potential criminal charges, alleging politicization of emergency funding. And just to kind of end on just thinking about the US military. As the administration carried out an 8th strike on a boat in international waters near Colombia, UN experts on Tuesday said that the US strikes against Venezuela in international waters amount to extrajudicial executions and break international law. And closer to home, ICE has now spent more than $70 million on new weapons in the first 9 months of Trump's second term, including armour, explosives, pistols and rifles. And this is 7 times more than during the same period in 2024. For all these actions and more, visit trumpactiontracker.info.